We are It's Just a Hill, a cycling club that promotes inclusion, judgment-free, with no gatekeepers. Focused on creating content from behind the handlebars to in the studio, It's Just a Hill is producing videos and podcasts to spread the message that cycling is for everyone. We are focused on reminding everyone that riding your bike can help you overcome any obstacle, because after all, it's just a hill. Hello and welcome to another episode of the It's Just a Hill podcast. I'm going to dub this It's Just a Hill After Dark. The sun is down. I'm sitting here with Cal. Hi, Cal.
Hi, John.
This is another edition of our, I don't remember what we were calling it when we were doing the tour. Race recap.
Just talking about pro cycling.
Right, we're talking about pro cycling today. This isn't even a race recap because the race has not started yet. I mentioned it is after dark. The sun is down. The World Championships are upon us, but they are in Australia on the other side of the globe.
Yes, this year, it's actually tomorrow over there right now.
It's the future.
And the race is taking place in Australia, the land of marsupials and magpies.
Yes, wow. Do you have that prepared?
I did. I thought of that ahead of time.
Not looking at his phone or anything, so wow. So the UCI World Championships are upon us. The men's road race is in just about an hour's time. We're going to talk about like the UCI Worlds in general a little bit beforehand, and then we might stop down a little bit and like watch at least the beginning of the race live. We'll talk about that and sort of the complications living in North America while watching that. But the World Championships, it is a once a year event. The UCI, insert boo sound effect here, they put on a week of racing at a previously selected host city. Throughout the course of the week, there are time trials, road races to determine who will be the world champion for the next calendar year. And this year it is in, like we mentioned, Australia, Wollongong, Australia. Not too far south of Sydney. I just looked at it on a map.
I had never heard of Wollongong before.
I'd never heard of it
this year.
But now we know how to say it, Wollongong. It's fun to say. And it is, it's south of Sydney. I've been watching it. So like things happen throughout the week. It is, I was talking to you before. It's a lot more tropical than I thought it would be. It's nice, like palm trees and stuff. Interesting that it is in Australia, which is, I know it's not like, I guess it's in the Western world, but it is designed more like North America as opposed to a lot of the pro cycling that we watch, which is in Europe on older roads and stuff. So I do think that's interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the week of Worlds and what it consists of? I sort of like briefly went over it.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, we do have we have the time trials, we have the road races, but besides just the pro races, there's also under 23 races. There's junior races.
It's a lot. It all happens all week.
All week.
The time trials were last weekend. Yeah,
there's even a mixed time trial where we have men and women riding together.
Yeah, but not really together.
They did. It's like a
it's like
relay.
It's a relay. So the men go off and then the women go right afterwards, and it's a combined time. I wanted to see, like people racing together.
Yeah, that'd be actually.
It would have been interesting.
Definitely.
And I don't think it really. I don't know. Like even if you still wanted to do two teams of three, you could do one team has two men and one woman, and then the second team could have like two women and one man.
Yeah.
Or you could just do a team of four, so it's even 2 men, 2 women, right? But yeah, it feels like they just split it up 3 and 3.
Yeah, the team time trial, they've actually tried different iterations of it. They've actually had the pro teams race as...
Really?
I think a few years they've done that. Because the thing is, doing it as a national team, you don't get to like then wear the rainbow jersey in a time trial ever because there's not...
So would they just do it? Are they just doing it for fun? Because then, how does that work with like what nation you're racing for?
Especially with the mixed relay, it is just kind of a for fun thing.
Yeah, like hey, you're here for the week. Yeah, you flew all the way to Australia.
Yeah, I mean you get a medal in a jersey, but you get to put it on the wall instead of
the medal in the jersey, right?
And that is something about the Worlds that's kind of what makes it special is you when you win, you get to wear a jersey with rainbow bands.
Yeah, the rainbow jersey. The rainbow bands
for the next year, and the bands you'll get to wear on your arm for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, talking a little bit about Worlds, why it's unique, what it is. The really sort of interesting and a strange thing about it is that it's not trade teams. They're not the pro teams racing together. Right. These are national teams.
Right.
And so these riders on their national teams, they really rarely, except for the Olympics, maybe the European Championships, maybe the Commonwealth
Continental Championships.
Yeah.
Which most teams don't really send big riders to because it's like during the course of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, these guys aren't typically racing together. No. And so it does create some interesting dynamics, as we'll talk about, because you have riders like Wout van Aert and Remco Evenepoel who are on the same team, but
because they're from the same country.
But typically for the rest of the year race against each other.
Yeah, on two teams that constantly compete against each other. In Alpha Deceuninck, they're changing too much, and Jumbo Visma. Yeah.
So very interesting dynamics, and I guess maybe that's a good place to should we talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about the men's race last. I'd like to talk about the men's race last. So the TTs happened earlier in the week. The women's race was yesterday/today, right? We're talking about this whole, they're on the other side of the world. The women's race, which was 164 kilometers or 102 miles, 126 riders started that race and 78 completed. So that's a kind of a lot that DNF'd, like 40 riders, 50 riders DNF'd. And that's 20 countries total. And now this is a spoiler alert for the women's road race. It was a wild finish. And not to go back to the women's time trial, but in the women's time trial, Annemiek van Vleuten crashed out at the start of the race. I don't even really know what happened.
Apparently, her chain dropped from the big ring to the small.
There's a small ring on the TT bike?
Yeah. In case you have to go up a big hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally they don't typically ride one bys on most teams regardless. But it just, dropped by some kind of mechanical fluke.
Yeah.
And the kind of like when you go to take a step and the step's not there,
she swerves heavily.
It causes her to swerve. And she goes down.
Right.
Hits a curb, goes down.
A big favorite for the world road race. Road race.
Fractured her elbow.
Yes, fractured elbow. Went down very hard.
Yeah, and I hate to admit it, but I'd almost sort of hoped she wouldn't start the road race because in a way it kind of makes it more exciting. Like if you watch the Women's Tour de France, Van Vleuten basically showed that she had the ability to just ride away from everybody.
Yes.
From a long way out, right, and hold that.
She's one of the most dominant athletes of all time,
for sure.
Yeah,
and
guess what happened?
Right,
she crushed the women's race. It came down to a bunch of 12. Yeah, at the end, there were sort of like two groups that in the last 5K were getting really close to bridging the gap, but there was like a 10 or a 12-second gap that just like kept happening. The 5 or 6 riders in the front were just keeping the other riders off the back. And then at one point it became 9 riders in the front. It was a lot of like jockeying back and forth. In the end, these 12 riders are going into the final sprint in like the last kilometer or so. And Annemiek is basically in the back of this group. She sort of sat in all day, right? Because she has a broken elbow,
right?
A fractured elbow.
Yeah, it did make it for a more exciting dynamic. So rather than seeing her have like some win by a 4-minute lead or something like that, she did have to sit in. She had
to sit in.
Yeah.
But in doing so, she saved all of her energy, and it looks like she scarfed up energy from some of the other riders because with, I don't know, maybe 0.3 kilometers to go, a decent amount still to go, like not like the last 500 yards. She comes off the back and flies by everyone on the right-hand side of the road and holds on to this lead, this like resounding, maybe it was like a 2 or 3 second lead at one point, but then it ends up coming down to like a 1 second lead, but she gets them by still a bike length.
Yeah, basically and sprinting from like within just under 1K to go or something like that.
It was
sprinting the whole time.
Yeah, it was very wild. Very impressive. And yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And wearing 2 jerseys also.
Oh yeah, that's right. So look, not a big fan of the UCI. So she's wearing her skin suit, which is a different color than the other riders on her team. It's slightly different hue. It's like a lighter hue. And they want them to all be wearing the same colors. They say it's easier for judging or something. I don't know. They got big numbers strapped to the back of them. You know who Annemiek van Vleuten is, right? And because she has a broken elbow, it's easier for her to just put another jersey on top of the skin suit rather than like disrobe, put on bibs, and all of that. So, yeah, she ends up having to wear, and those are kind of ugly. You know, those like she's Dutch, right?
Yeah.
The Netherlands. I don't know. I don't like. So like worlds to me are very exciting, right? It's like the end of the calendar year. I don't like that Remco is racing with WOW. Like it doesn't make it more enjoyable for me, you know? So it's interesting that like it comes down to this race that is very similar to some of these very hard one-day classics, and the team dynamics are different. So you get like, not to say that Julian Alaphilippe is a bad rider, but like France is a very strong team. And so it's just, I don't know. It doesn't, I don't think it takes away from like the jersey, because I do love the jersey. It's like the jerseys is one of my favorite thing about cycling, like the nuances of jerseys, world champion jerseys, country champion jerseys. But I don't know. How do you feel about the dynamics being so different that like, you know, Marianne Vos and Annemiek van Vleuten are racing together? They're on the same team.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things there. So we could maybe do a segment later ranking national kits, because some national kits are
when
horrendous.
we're watching, I would love to do that, because we're going to be watching the beginning of the race. It's probably going to be relatively boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that'd be great. I would love to rank the jerseys, because I can think of a couple right off the top of my head that are whack.
Yeah. But yeah, to talk a little bit more about the format of how Worlds functions. The course, as you mentioned, it tends to be some kind of loop. Yeah. It tends to be a classics loop, although some years do favor sprinters. We've seen guys like Mark Cavendish win in the past.
Sure.
We've also seen some very mountainous courses. We had one finish that I think came down to Bardet, Mike Woods, and Alejandro Valverde ended up winning it. That was 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
In
Michael Woods. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And another key point about the teams is that the nations are ranked by UCI points, I believe. Right. And depending on that ranking, you get a certain amount of riders.
That's right. So France itself has. So we're sort of skipping to the men's race now, right? But there's the same thing in the women's race. But France itself has 9 riders in the race.
Crazy.
10 countries rank in the top 10. They get to enter 13 riders, like into the general classification of the UCI Worlds, and 8 get to start this race. France gets 1 extra because they are they have the world champion band, like rider and Julian Alaphilippe. Gotcha. Then there are the next 10 teams have 6. Start with 6. That's not 1 less. That's 2 less riders. That's a lot. And now, are they countries that necessarily have people that might win? I'd say a couple of them, maybe, but I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so that's what you're saying. Some countries have more than others. Yeah,
so not necessarily the most balanced. It certainly favors those European teams like France, like Belgium.
Yes. Netherlands, Spain, Italy.
Right.
Yeah. And the home team of Australia, amongst others.
Yeah. I think I can recall some years where America only had like 3-4 riders in the race.
Yeah, they're in the second tier. They have 6 riders in the race, but Canada only has 4.
We've got we could have had a very strong team this year.
United States.
Yeah. But a lot of our guys stayed home,
right?
Because they've worked all. There's some really super domestics.
It would have been great to see Brandon McNulty there.
Magnus
Sheffield,
Kuss,
and Nielsen Powell
Sheffield.
there. But yeah, no Kuss. And no
Quinn Simmons would have been a good worker.
No, he would have been a good worker.
Fan,
yeah, but I would have loved to laugh at his fucking crossed eyes.
He would have tried to go in the break and
for sure, for sure.
But in any event,
he could have chased down Remco.
There you go.
So yeah, like it is interesting. The team dynamics are very different. The racing is similar to classics, but not like 1-to-1 to classics. Mm-hmm. It is I've been excited about Worlds all year. It has seemed like an interesting course. It's interesting to see like the circuit, like they go around that final circuit like 12 times, I think, like at the end. And for those of you that have done races that go around the same course more than once, whether it's like cross or even just like something more, you like learn different things about yourself and about the course as you continue to race the course, right? So like some riders are really good at that. We'll talk about one of them in a little bit, but like some riders like really excel at that and others not so much. So that's another interesting dynamic. It is just very different dynamics than we've been like so into for the course of the last 6-8 months or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I'll say when you're racing around a loop like that, it is a lot easier to pull the plug. We saw that in Yorkshire a couple of years ago because there were horrendous conditions, freezing rain, horrible day.
Gotta love England.
And people were just bailing every lap.
Right.
And as you mentioned with the women's race, there was like 40 riders or so that dropped out. And that's partially why when you keep going around.
You're going by your team bus.
Yeah. I've been in that situation. I was in a race once where I double flatted, or not double flatted, but I hit a huge pothole on the first or second lap. Had to get a wheel change. Couldn't catch back on to the peloton, and I'm like, I'm not just going to ride solo for 2 more laps. I'm getting off my bike at the finish line when I go around.
Sure.
So,
it was happening recently in Montreal, in the Montreal race that happened a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
because the Montreal course was very similar to this course, and they're doing like 12 to 15 laps at the end, and you're dropped off the back, and you're like, I'm racing Worlds in 2 weeks. I'm not going to put in this race effort right now. Like, let's stop now and then reassess what that training plan is over the next 2 weeks so I can come and kill it.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe I have a long stretch hope for Peter Sagan because that's kind of like, that's what happened to him in Montreal. But yeah, so the men's race, do we have anything else to say? Do I have anything else to say about the women's race real quick? No, not really. So, Lara Kopecky from Belgium, she came in second. Sylvia Persico came in third. And then Liana Lippert was in fourth. And this podcast's podcast's favorite female rider, Cecily Uttrup Ludwig.
Oh, Cecily.
She came in fifth.
Yeah.
And she was in that, she was like really there, but I don't know. There's really nothing you can do to stop. I could not believe the smoothness, and so Annemiek van Vleuten also like couldn't stand up the whole race. She does end up standing up maybe in the last 200 meters or so to really put that final kick in, but like, and not to say that she is someone that's known for standing up all the time, but because she had that injury, she had to race very differently, and it was great. I think everyone should just go and watch it and watch the crash too.
Yeah, and I think we should just take a quick second here to talk about women's cycling in general. When we recorded our last episode about the men's Tour de France, we had hoped that we'd have time to get together and talk about the women's Tour de France. Unfortunately, didn't end up happening. We had to go up to Mount Greylock.
Yeah, you went to Iceland
for an event, and then I went to Iceland right after, and just didn't end up happening, unfortunately. However,
it was exciting.
Tour de Femmes was a huge success.
Oh, I would
totally
agree.
The numbers that have come out about the viewership, in Europe and America, were great,
and even races following since in the past couple months, like have still been very popular with female cycling. Yeah, and
websites like Velo News said that they had increased engagement with their audiences, also just to circle back, Cecily Uttrup Ludwig, one of our favorite riders in the peloton. She won a stage of the tour. It was a fantastic stage. The way she sprinted blew all the other riders out of the water. If you haven't seen that stage, go watch the end of it.
Yeah, and watch her interview at
her
the end.
Interview, just fantastic.
Yeah, she's just so great. She's so animated.
So great. She has no filter. She's like dropping F-bombs.
I think she says fuck twice.
Yeah, it's on live TV.
It's actually been happening more and more. Wout said it after Montreal.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't like necessarily follow up to see if these like broadcasts like GCN or whatever are like apologizing, but like, I mean, I don't know. I'm all for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, hopefully it leads to more longer women's like grand tours.
Yeah.
Right?
And Zwift did, I think, extend their sponsorship of the race for, I think, at least the next 2 years.
Great. Yeah.
So we're definitely going to have that next year, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, the men's road race, starting, I don't know, 50-ish minutes. Oh, you don't have to worry about that.
Starting in about half an hour.
In about a half hour. This ride is significantly longer, I'd say. It's 100 kilometers longer than the women's race at 266.9 kilometers. That's 165 miles. And 50 countries total are involved in this one, whereas the women's race was 20 countries total. Earlier, we talked about how the start and the finish. We obviously don't know how many have even started or finished this because it has not started or finished yet. And yeah, we sort of went over these other things I have written down here. There is a right-hand turn in the final kilometer, which I think should be like nice and interesting.
Okay.
And going into this, I've watched a couple of videos like about the course. I've listened to a couple of podcasts. I wouldn't say I know the course too well. I think I will learn it in the next, oh boy, how much of this race am I going to get to watch? I'm very anxious about, I had the women's race spoiled for me within 5 minutes of waking up this morning.
Yeah.
Like legitimately
Stay off
the
social.
algorithm knows me so well
Right.
that it put Annemiek van Vleuten and cycling news right at the top of Twitter. And all I wanted to do was check on the Celtics. And so it was unfortunate. I'm going to try to wake up early and catch the end of it. Hopefully it ends around 3 a.m., I think.
You're going to wake up at 3 a.m.?
I'm going to try to wake up at 2.
Wow.
Watch the hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
I should have just slept on your couch.
You could have. Watch the hour and then go back to sleep for a little bit. And then hopefully we get to go for a bike ride tomorrow for donuts.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything like more that you would like to talk about the course before we start talking about like favorite riders or our predictions or anything like that?
No, I haven't, to be honest. I've been a little checked out on pro cycling since the tour. The Vuelta hasn't been as exciting
No, it
as
wasn't.
I'd hoped to be.
No.
So I haven't, studied the course too much. I've been following a little bit of like the headlines and like some, quotes and things like that that riders have said. So I'm happy to talk about the riders themselves.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about some of the favorites and some of like the team leaders, right? We mentioned him earlier, Julien Alaphilippe. He's the reigning champ. He rides for France. A lot of crashes this year.
Yeah.
A lot of crashes. He crashed at Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Strade Bianche. He crashed out of the Vuelta just a few weeks ago, right? Or maybe a month ago, tops.
Yeah, some people actually think that the rainbow jersey has a curse because there are
Yes.
people who've won it and then had terrible years afterwards.
He's won it 2 years in a row, though.
2 years in a row. His first year was pretty good. He did crash out of Flanders, I believe.
Okay.
Because he was in a break with Van der Poel and Wout, and he got clipped by a motorbike.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Clipped by the motorbike.
But yeah, rough year for Alaphilippe. Seems like he keeps crashing, coming back.
Only
crashing.
41 days of racing this season. That's not a lot.
No. And so I think he said that he's not at his best, but the course suits him.
It does.
He is that kind of explosive, swashbuckling kind of rider.
Yes, he's very swashbuckling.
Who can
Loves techno.
would not be surprised to see him.
I would not be surprised at all to see him win.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Pull it out of the bag. If he's in good shape and he bounced back from the crash in Vuelta, he's had 2 or 3 solid weeks to like actually hone in on what this race is and the expectations of him. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching him. I really enjoy watching Alaphilippe. I'm not a huge fan of the team that he races for, but I do like watching him. Next on my list, would have been first on my list if there wasn't a reigning champ, is Wout van Aert, racing for Belgium. Right, he has won Milan-San Remo, but interestingly enough, Wout van Aert has participated in 16 one-day races and only has one win. One win in one-day races.
I wonder how many second places he has.
He has a decent amount of second places. He's also won some great like 2 or 3 day or like week-long events, right? But as far as like one-day classics, which we're sort of comparing this to, he's only won one. Not to say that he is he is like insignificant, because the next note I have here is he's a god amongst men.
Yeah, if you've listened to any of our pro cycling podcasts before, you know that John and I are both big Wout fanboys.
Yeah, and he skipped the TT this year to focus on the road race championship.
Yeah. Wout went for a training ride yesterday. Or, well, today for us, but yesterday for him. And the title of his Strava ride, did you see what it was?
No, I don't follow pro cyclists because it will spoil. Shit gets spoiled.
Yeah. Wout titled his ride Discovery of the Day, a date filled with peanut butter dipped in chocolate, topped with sea salt. Magical.
Wow, that does sound magical.
Yeah.
Wow, run it by me one more time. A date filled with peanut butter, dipped in chocolate with sea salt on it.
Exactly.
Damn.
Yeah. But this is a guy who's, you know, the best cyclist in the world, and he's just going for a little 34-mile ride at 19.3 miles per hour.
Nice and easy. How much
stopping at a coffee shop and eating some dates filled with peanut butter.
Somewhere in Australia.
Somewhere in Australia.
Damn. Wow, that sounds awesome.
Indeed.
Yeah, gotta love him. Wow, racing for Belgium. Also on the Belgian team, Remco Evenepoel. Mentioned him earlier. Won the Vuelta this year. I forgot to write down his significant one-day wins. I really don't care for this guy. I wrote down here, fuck him and his Trump haircut. He has the exact same hairdo as Trump.
Wow.
It sucks.
So if listeners aren't familiar with Remco, he was kind of touted as the golden boy of Belgium. So
yes, the next Eddie Merckx.
The next Eddie Merckx. Eddie Merckx is a Belgian cyclist from the 70s, considered the greatest in the world. And Remco showed up at a World Championships as a under 23 rider or junior a couple years ago.
Yep.
And he crashed early in the race, got back on his bike, passed the peloton, went on some crazy break and won by like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something ridiculous. And since then, he was kind of hailed as like
the next big
Belgian cyclist.
Right.
Going to be one of the greatest. And to be fair,
he's great.
His record in 1 week stage races was fantastic.
Yes.
He was on his way. He was in the lead group of Il Lombardia, who's in the lead group at Il Lombardia, and crashed over the side of a cliff. Thought he could have died or something, but he ended up with a horrible injury. Took him a better part of a year to come
get back
from that.
Yeah.
Looked a little shaky at first. He tried to race the Giro, wasn't able to finish. But then this year has kind of finally come good on his potential. He won was it LBL? No. Where did he win this year?
Well, he won the Vuelta.
He won the Vuelta, but he also won
win?
a one day classic.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it was Liège, best on
Oh,
Liège.
okay. I don't remember
if I got that right. We're checking pro cycling stats. Listeners, hold on here.
Yeah, hold on, please. Wow, the first thing when you Google Remco is not Remco Evenepoel. That sucks.
Also, quick fun fact: Remco is sponsored by Pizza Hut.
Is he?
Yep.
How did he get that? What the hell? He won the Tour of Norway this year. No, One Day Classics 2022 National Time Trial Championship. He won San Sebastian this year. And Liège Best on Liège.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Wow, good
he
for
won
him.
Liège Best on Liège.
Yeah.
And a Grand Tour. So a classic, a monument, and a tour.
Yes.
So
yeah, I mean, he's definitely no slouch, right? As I look at the stage races that he's won, like just a lot of different ones. One Day Classics, more than Wout with his one. But that's the interesting thing. They race on the same team. Last year, it was bad.
Ton of drama last year.
Ton of drama. Neither of them win.
No.
Remco is younger. You think that maybe he's going there to race for Wout. And he goes off on an attack. Belgium takes care of the road, right? They're 4 abreast on the road, blocking the rest of the peloton for coming through, doing anything. Michael Matthews is pissed. Right on Wout's wheel. It was wild.
Yeah, you also got the sense that there was somebody wasn't quite following orders, team orders there. Apparently, Remco skipped the debrief afterwards.
Oh,
yeah, a lot of drama.
I don't like him.
A lot of drama. But this year they've presented a united front. They say that they're co-leaders.
Yes,
which having 2 cards to play in a race like this can
for sure
be a huge advantage. But it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to try to attack first,
right?
And how it all plays out.
Both guys that can go off the front.
Mm-hmm.
What I would love to see happen is Remco go off the front, burn himself out, Wout sits in the peloton and can finish with the win at the sprint.
Yeah, good question as to who has a better sprint.
Right.
But I don't
You think
know.
Remco has a better sprint than Wout?
No, I think Wout is the sprinter.
Yeah.
So I think that.
But I think Remco could have a crazy attack and just go off and like hold it.
Right. I wouldn't be
He's so
surprised
strong.
to see Remco try to go from like 30K out or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next on our list, I have Tadej Pogačar racing for Slovenia. Not the best team. No Primoz and no Mate Mohoric. Those are two big riders that could be racing on your team. And they're already down a few riders because I think Slovenia only has 4 or maybe 6 riders.
Yeah, smaller country, so they're not going to have as many slots. No Rog and no Mahoric could play into
They have 8
Pogačar's.
slots. Slovenia has 8 slots.
Actually, I guess that makes sense because
if it's UCI points.
Pog and Roglic,
Right.
get so
They
many
have points.
UCI points. But Pogačar being the only guy on his team, or the only leader on his team, means that he won't. He doesn't have to worry about those same kind of like co-leader dynamics that Wout and Remco will. We've seen Pogačar go for some kind of crazy long-range attacks in the past. Yes. He's actually at times showed himself to be willing to work for Roglic.
Oh, for sure.
Back in, I think, 2020, he was willing to do that. I don't know. Their relationship seems to have cooled since then. So had Roglic been there this year, I'm not sure if they would have been
worked together. Right.
But maybe we'll have to wait till next year to find out.
Pog is signed to UAE through 2027.
Yeah, UAE
That is something else.
UAE made some big moves. They recently picked up Yates.
They did.
He's going to be
the good Yates,
really important super domestique.
Sorry, Simon.
Yeah, I can't tell them apart. I don't know who's who.
Adam Yates is on Ineos and Simon's on Bike Exchange.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one won the Vuelta?
Adam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I say that with very little confidence.
Fact check corner.
Pog has also won Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He's won the Giro. He's won Lombardia. He's won Strade Bianca, and he won Montreal this year. Mm-hmm. And his Montreal performance this year was fantastic. You can never count this guy out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm aching for him to win, but I would not be surprised, and no one should be surprised if Pog pulls out the win here.
Yeah, the Montreal win is significant because it showed that he can actually outsprint Wout van Aert, which is crazy to even think about. But and if Pogačar does win, I'll say that just seeing somebody in the rainbow jersey potentially winning the Tour de France.
Absolutely.
Having that possibility,
right,
it just speaks to what a golden era of cycling we're in.
Yeah, I
mean, I know I keep talking about this, but really it's like something from the 1970s. It would be historic. It would be just
someone winning this race that's very similar to a one-day classic going on.
Yeah.
Because Pog's going to win the Tour again.
Oh, definitely.
He's 24.
Definitely.
He will win the Tour again. Just a matter of when.
Yeah, and a matter of what kind of course they unveil, which we'll get in November.
Right.
That'll really determine, who's it's going to favor. So,
next on my list, Mathieu van der Poel, racing for the Dutch, the Netherlands. This is a great course for Van der Poel.
Yeah.
Right? Repeated short and steep climbs, and he has won his last 3 races that he's been involved in. He has won.
Nice.
So his form is on, and I don't know, that I can just picture it now. There's that turn in the last half kilometer. It's a little like kick up after the turn. He takes that turn and he just goes.
Just explodes.
Yeah, just absolutely explodes.
Yeah. Well, to spend a little time on Van der Poel, his form has really been in doubt this whole season.
Yes. Raced a shit tour.
He raced a shit tour. He went to the Giro, won one stage, and then just tried to get in breaks every day, and had very little success.
Yep.
The three races that he did win, I would not say were significant races.
No, not huge,
but they're good stepping stones. But
and he has won big races before.
Yeah. To look at the kind of the bigger picture, we've talked a lot about how Wout van Aert and Van der Poel have this rivalry.
Right.
But after the Tour this year, I found myself thinking that Wout just kind of has this year blew Van der Poel
Separated himself from Van
out
der
of
Poel.
the water.
For sure.
And kind of made it look like he was on a whole another level.
Absolutely.
Whereas in the past, we were always comparing the two.
Right.
So I think Van der Poel needs a big win like this to kind of elevate himself back into that top tier of riders right now.
Yeah, for sure.
The way he hasn't really committed himself fully to road season or just to road riding kind of makes me question whether or not he is going to go down as one of the greats or not.
Was he the guy? Did he say? I think it was him. He said he was going to do just mountain bikes in 2024 or 2025 or something.
You know, he loves mountain biking. He loves cyclocross and stuff. And not to say that's a bad thing. I mean, I think it's great that these guys.
We're not talking about it on this podcast, though.
Different stuff. Yeah. But just to think of, sort of in the road cycling Hall of Fame, I wonder where he's going to end up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Still young, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's 27, so not as young as like Remco or even Pog.
Yeah,
but yeah, still young.
Late 20s tends to be the peak.
A good time to
for
peak.
riders.
He recently said that he thinks he's getting too old. I recently read an interview with him.
Yeah,
and he said like if he doesn't win this Worlds, he's worried that he's getting too old to like win races.
Could
like
be.
this.
I mean, look at Peter Sagan. Kind of once he was into his 30s, he sort of declined. Sagan's a different story because I don't think he has the work ethic that a lot of these young kids do. But in any event,
yeah, totally agree. Like, so a couple more I think I have as people that I would like to mention. I feel like we can skip over Nielsen Paulus. We mentioned him earlier. American team, not that strong. Mm-hmm. If Nielsen Paulus wins, I'll be so surprised. Yeah. There's like no way in hell. I love him. I love talking about him, but there's no way.
I wouldn't totally count him out. Okay. I mean, we've seen flashes of him being great at the tour.
Yeah.
And you never know. The thing about a one-day race is in some respects, anybody could win.
Right.
Cycling
could be your day.
Any cycling race has that potential for
sure.
Chaos can happen. There could be a magpie attack.
That's right.
That
We're
disrupts
in Australia.
the whole race.
There have been magpie attacks. There was a seagull in the under 23 time trial.
Yeah. Just in case listeners are confused by what we're talking about, magpies are a bird that
that's right.
This time of year it's their breeding season in Australia, and they get very territorial and will attack cyclists that go by their nests.
Yeah, there are hundreds of videos on YouTube of people on bikes casually riding around Australia this time of year being attacked by beautiful, very smart birds. They're like very smart birds, right? They're kind of like ravens. They bring people like treats, and if you like give them a thing, they'll like bring you things back. They're very smart.
Yeah, they can kind of almost like talk like a parrot, not like,
but they communicate.
Yeah, they'll you know,
and they hopefully go after Remco's shit haircut.
Yeah, there have been livestock caused, dogs, cows, things like that, causing crashes in pro races before. You never know. A bird could fly into somebody's wheel, and a lot of guys go down.
I know it's a little bit late because the race technically starts in 10 or 15 minutes. But do you think we can get Thibaut Pinot to bring his goats and
oh my God,
have a livestock problem?
You never know.
Yeah, that'd be great. A couple other people sort of mentioned him earlier. Michael Matthews from Australia. He's Australian. This is in Australia. Maybe that's the extra push that he needs. He's a guy, I wouldn't say he's famous for coming in second, but he comes in second kind of a lot, second or third. He podiums a lot, but doesn't necessarily win a lot.
Yeah.
Not that he isn't a great rider, but he has had a really good year. He has a very strong sprint, and he had a really hard stage win at the Tour this year. He came second in Quebec, and I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Matthews takes the win.
Yeah, he's come close at other world championships.
Yep.
People think that he does have that potential. Like we just said, anything can happen.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because he's shitting in toilets that flush the opposite direction.
Yeah.
He's really going to be feeling good.
It's got to be a little home field advantage for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And, he needs a kind of big win to cap his career because he has been kind of always a little bit overshadowed by Peter Sagan at first, and now overshadowed by guys like Van Aert and Van der Poel. So I would not be that stoked on him winning.
I wouldn't be stoked on him winning, but no. He's maybe the least exciting person that I've mentioned.
Sure.
And then this next guy is probably my second most excited.
Hell yeah.
Is Biniam Girmay.
Hell yeah.
Racing for Eritrea. Has had a great season and is, like I said, if Wout for some reason wasn't starting, I'd be Binny all day. I would love to see someone from Africa wearing the world champion jersey.
It would be incredible. We've seen Gourmet.
A black guy from Africa, not friggin' Chris Froome or some shit.
Yeah. We've seen Gourmet actually beat Van der Poel in a head-to-head sprint in the Giro this year. And I think that inclusivity in sport is something that we both care a lot about.
Yeah.
You've made it one of the central, tenets of the club that we're in. And cycling should be for everyone. It traditionally has been a very Eurocentric sport, and it's just great to see, like you said, a rider from Africa being able to compete in these races.
And I think more like you're seeing more and more riders that aren't white coming to prominence, and not even like not even like white adjacent. Like not even like South America, but like it's going to be nice to see. There are a lot of Asian countries participating in this race because it's in that part of the world, in Oceania, and they might not be like the strongest teams, but some of these 50 teams are like a good amount of them are like from Asian countries, and I'm excited to like learn about these new riders, and it'd be great that they could be like elevated in the way that Biniam has been elevated, and just like come to the forefront of this, like, because what better way to get like the best cream of the crop of cyclists than like going throughout the whole world instead of just like these specific white centric places of the world, right? Like let's get these cyclists like from anywhere and just have like it be like a real world championship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not like the World Series of baseball where it's just like, look, I like baseball just fine, but like you can't call it the World Series. It's just like teams from Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It sucks.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, those are sort of like the main riders. I don't know. Is there anyone do you feel like we missed?
Not off the top of my head, no. I'll think about it a little bit more. And
I'm sure like once we get going, like I have one prediction, and it's that Wout goes off the front with 10 kilometers in. 10 kilometers into the race, he goes off the front and wins.
Well, that'd be incredible. Typically, you see a group of like riders from like Ireland and other countries
getting their limelight,
go out and get maybe like the peloton will give these guys like an 8-minute lead for the first half of the race, and then start reeling them back in. Race. But very long. Yeah, typically world championships are quite long.
165 miles.
Which is why we might have to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch the finish.
Yeah. 50 different teams. Really interesting. Any other things or like predictions, or I mean, we sort of went over who we want to win or like what we think might happen. Anything else you want to say before we stop down for a second and get the race on and hopefully listen to Adam Blythe? I don't know, maybe make fun of Remco a little bit.
Hopefully, no. I'm very excited. This is the last in some ways
it's not really the last.
Yeah, we still got Lombardia coming up, but. Yeah. This is kind of the biggest one.
It's weird that it's not at the end.
No, yeah.
Isn't that weird? Shouldn't it be at the end?
The whole pro cycling calendar is weird. I mean,
it is.
It actually starts in January in Australia and goes.
That's right.
And then ends in Japan in October.
Does it?
No,
is there one in Japan?
There used to be the Japan Cup that I think was a UCI race. I don't know if it is there anymore. Okay. COVID might have killed it. But
so, no matter who wins tonight, who wears rainbows at Lombardia?
The new guy.
Philippe? No, the new guy does.
Yeah, it starts now.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's so strange. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's just such an interesting race. I'm glad that they're doing it. I'm glad that we're watching it and talking about it. It is just like so strange. All right, we'll be back in a little bit watching the 2022 Men's World Road Racing Championships. Okay, we are back. The race has started. There's 263 kilometers to go. And not only are we watching it, but we're also following the official race start. Attacks have started immediately. More and more riders are jumping off the front. That's the news we have so far.
Yeah.
How you doing? Is your heart rate elevated?
It is a little bit, actually.
Should I track my heart rate for this? Maybe start an activity on Whoop and see what my heart rate's like.
John and I are trying to figure out who the hell these people are.
Yeah, you can't. It sucks. It's really hard to tell. If you know people's helmets, that's helpful. I did spot Remco because I recognized, I'm pretty sure he's wearing a red Specialized Prevail. So, because he won the Vuelta.
We got a New Zealand rider on the front right now. Actually, I love that kit. New Zealand, great kit.
And actually, that is a great kit. It was the same kit, very similar to the Quebec ASOS kit a little while ago. And I think ASOS is what I meant to say. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think ASOS makes that kit. I'm really curious as to what teams and even nationalities wear like what kits, you know. I consider myself a bit of a gear nerd, okay? Yeah. Sometimes I'm a gear nerd. I want to know what they're riding. I want to know what they're wearing. We don't get that as much as I'd like.
No, but same as the pro teams. I mean, these countries just have contracts with the different sponsors and vendors.
That's true.
Belgium's team kit is like very classic blue with the Belgian flag across it. Yeah. But they've got like lots of advertisements on it now. Lots of little advertisements on it. Yeah, if you look closely. Let's see if I can pull up a picture here so our listeners can see it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so like the Belgian one is pretty obvious. I think the Great Britain jersey is pretty obvious. Netherlands, some of them are not obvious. Like Homeboy's coming through with green sleeves and like yellow. Is he Ireland? I don't know.
Oh, that's Australia in the
green and yellow?
The green and gold. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Just like their flag, huh?
Not a great kit either. Weird colors.
Not great kits here. We're watching on GCN, a.k.a. Eurosport. Really beautiful area.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, we've been starting off riding on the cliffs here.
The beach. The waves are crashing. Stop showing me the waves. That's the thing about a race this long is you're going to see a lot of waves. You're going to see a lot of shots of Sydney, which is not even where they're racing. Here we're seeing Sydney once again, the Sydney Opera House. They've shown this same exact shot like dozens of times during the coverage over the past week, and it's the same shot too. It's not like a live shot. It's just like the same shot with the same boats going under the bridge, and yeah, a lot of that in cycling. We're not going to get a lot of old European buildings because we're not in old Europe. We're in the colonized country of Australia, heavily colonized. 260 kilometers to go. Man, I'm going to sleep 6 hours before the end of this race.
Wild.
Yeah. Right? How long they think it's going to end at like 3 or 3:30 a.m., right?
Yep.
Yeah. Still no one off the front. It's pretty compact still.
Basically fighting for the brakes, so we see little accelerations, guys trying to get off and form a group.
50 countries represented? How many riders? 250? It's a lot.
We haven't seen any magpies yet. I'm going to be on the watch for magpies here.
What the hell is this? A pool? There's one person swimming in a pool? Oh, whoa. The helicopter's coming in.
Just waving at the helicopter.
What is this little pond thing? Man, you ever been to Australia?
No, I've been in New Zealand, not Australia.
You've been to New Zealand?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
When?
2019.
What the?
Right before COVID, yeah. Went mountain biking on the Queen Charlotte track.
What the hell? Who's Queen Charlotte?
I don't know.
Enough talk about the Queen. Speaking of colonizers, that's cool. So before the world shut down, you were in New Zealand.
Yep, pretty much.
For how long?
3 weeks.
And this is probably a question you got a lot, but how long's the flight? Did you fly to LA and then did you fly there?
Yeah, flew to LA and then there. I don't remember. It's like an 8 or 9 hour flight.
From LA to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So it's like a 6 hour flight
maybe
to LA.
Longer.
Yeah, wow.
You lose sense of all time because
sure.
On the way there, so we left on December 30th and we landed on January 1st. I did not experience December 31st.
Wait, you didn't experience New Year's Eve?
2019. It just didn't happen for me.
What the hell?
Yeah, none. And then on the way back, I lived the same day twice.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So you still... Wow, okay. So you didn't really time travel, but...
You cross the international date line and it switches over. And
December 31st, 2019, going into 2020. Wow.
So we got this guy from Slovakia again trying to get off the front.
I forgot we were watching a race. I was so interested in your trip to New Zealand. What? We're seeing this pool pond thing again. No, it's a different one. This is very interesting. I don't know what's going on here.
Some kind of,
did New Zealand look like this at all? Tropical?
It is kind of tropical, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really get the Lord of the Rings vibes like you'd expect.
That was the next thing I was going to ask.
It's more tropical.
It's more tropical than, because Lord of the Rings does seem very like rolling hills, green and lush, but not necessarily palm trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for me, like I've been to England. You go up to the north in Lake District, that looks like Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, foggy, rolling hills. Did you leave when you left? Did you have an accent?
No. What?
Fuck. You know, if you talk like you were a Kiwi, you know, that's what they call themselves, right? Kiwis?
Yes.
Yeah. You left, you had an accent, you know? Oh, good eye, mate. I'm not going to do any more Australian or oceanic accents during the podcast, but I would be very tempted to not make fun of. I'd be very tempted to make fun of their voices. Not make fun of, poke fun at. Okay. Yeah, make fun of. Oh, wow. Right. There's a look. That's the same bike that I have sitting right here in the living room. Wow. What country is that? Uzbekistan is riding Look.
Yep.
Wow. With rim brakes. So we're getting some rim brakes, a lot of disc brakes here. Who we got off the back? Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan.
Yep.
Another Kazakhstan. Japan right in front. So this is like the back of the group, I guess.
Yeah. We pretty much had helicopter shots right up until now. Finally, we got to look inside the peloton a little bit.
I think that was the oldest competitor from Uzbekistan, 40 years old on 106 days.
Wow.
The pace is extremely fast. There are lots of gaps in the peloton, but maybe the group is coming back together. I will really want to know who types this up for cyclingnews.com, because it sounds like it's auto-generated, but it can't be. There's not some robot
there's somebody watching it.
There's someone watching it. Showing us a lot of beaches, a lot of waves crashing in sand. So we're not going to see any kangaroo attacks, unfortunately. Maybe magpie attacks, but probably no kangaroos. It doesn't look like kangaroo part of the country.
Anything can happen.
/ continent. Wow. Imagine being that powerful that you're a country on a continent. I remember learning that when you were a kid and you were like, what?
So, for the listeners' sake, we should probably talk about cycling a little bit.
Yeah, I mean...
Keegan Swenson picked to the American team.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is? So
No.
Keegan Swenson is in the lead of the Lifetime Grand Prix series right now.
Oh, wow.
He's a gravel racer. He's the best gravel racer in the country.
Oh, I did hear about this.
Biker.
I didn't recognize the name, but I did hear about this.
And so because so many American riders weren't able to either make it to Australia or opted not to participate, we're sending Keegan. And
Spirit of Gravel.
Spirit of Gravel is at the World Championships right now.
And someone at the World Championships is going to be at the World Gravel Championships in October. Peter Sagan. Did you hear why?
Why?
Got to give the people what they want. That's what he said.
Hell yeah.
Give the people what they want.
I like that.
That rules. So yeah, there's like a group of 4 off the front, and then just behind them by a few seconds, there's a group of 10 or so. Oh, someone's bridging between the two. It looks like this group of maybe 12, I don't know, maybe a little bit less, might come together.
Yeah, a lot of riders want to be in the break right now, and Peloton doesn't want to let a huge group go up the road because that's harder to control. They want a nice 4 or 5 man break up there.
Yeah.
They don't want a 20 man break, which is what's trying to happen right now. So, I don't know. All year we've had crazy racing where Peloton does not want to let a break get established. So
I would love to see them keep it in and keep it fast. That means I'm going to have to wake up a half hour earlier so I don't miss the end.
Who knows?
I'm just going to keep my iPad next to my bed playing.
Yeah.
I am.
I'm sure your wife will love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll turn the brightness down. I'm sure. How do I figure this out? Volume's down, definitely, right? Volume's down. I'm not going to keep the volume up. That'll bother me. But if I keep it right there, maybe turned away with the brightness down, and then because I'll wake up to use the restroom in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a guy that drinks a lot of water during the day. I'm going to have to wake up to pee. I'm very focused on hydration because of how much I ride my bike. I wake up to pee. That's a positive, and I get to check up on what's happening with 120K to go. What do you think? It's not a bad idea. I'll probably do it. I'm gonna wake up at 2 and record by myself.
Okay.
Just sitting here, tired, with 8-minute gaps between me saying anything. Oh, that would be terrible.
Maybe they'd be standing on your couch screaming.
I will be. I can't wait in 6 hours from now or however long it is to be standing up, pacing in this room with my hands on my head. I guarantee it. I've heard it's a rather technical course. I don't know what makes it technical. Not like more than just the turn in the last kilometer that I talked about. But we are seeing a couple rotaries. Some riders are going right over the median of these traffic circles.
Yeah, I mean, it does look, fairly windy roads. We're right along the coast here, and there's cliffs, so I think that does make for some probably fast descents, some twisty descents.
I love the updates from Cycling News. It looks like a big group of riders is finally getting some distance. Maybe about 10, question mark? Is this what you look at when you're working? Is this what you watch?
I'll check it, yeah.
Wow, that rules. I kind of like it. It sounds like it's a robot, but we know it's not. All right, so Belgium controlling a little bit on the front. I don't recognize. Okay, here we go. A couple of riders going off the front of the group trying to bridge. There's a 22-second gap.
This peloton is not going to let the break go right now.
No. Someone else going off the front.
Belgium up the front there, controlling the pace a little bit.
Euro Sagan.
Peter's brother.
Oh.
There's an American up there in the break.
Wait, really? Where's their kit?
He's up there.
Is it Stars and Stripes?
Yeah.
I saw someone selling a Stars and Stripes Cannondale Super X.
Oh, wow.
Like they were a cyclocross champion. Mm-hmm. And man, it looked cool. But I would never, you can't ride a world champion bike. I mean, a country champion bike, like a national champion bike.
Yeah, I don't know.
You think you can? You think it's different than wearing a jersey?
I mean, I don't know.
Would you wear a rainbow band jersey?
No.
Yeah, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, but it's just a paint scheme on a bike. It's not a jersey.
True. It has his name on it. Would you take the name off?
Yeah.
It had his name on the top
over
too.
It, probably, sticker.
Yeah.
But EF does typically sell their Cannondales at the end of every season.
Yeah.
Would you ride one of those?
Which ones?
Any of them.
Not one that was specifically world champion. Sure. If there was a world champion Cal Good, even though you ride a 58 and I ride a 54, I don't think I'd wear it. Mm-hmm. But would I ride one of the Palace Raffle ones?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you?
I would, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
But even just one of the generic ones, probably actually not a bad deal.
Technically, my look is a team bike. Mm-hmm. It was a team bike from a team that raced in the Tour of Amgen, as a support bike.
Awesome.
And some guy sold it at the end of the season, and I bought it from the guy.
Sure.
Yeah. So sure. I mean, and those bikes are sick looking. That'd be cool.
Hell yeah.
I've seen people trying to sell pro bikes on Facebook Marketplace and stuff, and they're always trying to get more money because it was Tyler Hamilton's bike. It's okay, okay, cool.
Who is that? We got to figure out who that American is.
I don't know. 20-second gap. We'll have some names here in just a second. Our analysts are on it. They should have some names here in just a second. 12 riders in the front.
Wow, Eritrea has 6 riders, actually. I'm impressed.
Yeah, hell yeah. Benny's getting them points.
Yeah.
I do not see an American listed, not to burst your bubble. I do not see an American listed here on Pro Cycling Stats.
Maybe he's in the second group then.
In the first group. Slovakia, only 4 riders. 2 of them are Sagans.
Yep. Peter and his brother. There's actually Nairo Quintana has a brother in the peloton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
2 riders over 40 in the peloton.
And I want to say there was another Nibali, but I could be wrong.
Of the 12 riders listed, 11 riders listed here. Maybe the 12th is that American. The only name that I recognize is Yuri Sagan. I think that's how you say it. Yurish?
Jura.
I don't know. Those surfboards, classic Australia spelling.
Wow.
UCI 22 with surfboards. And there's some mountain bikes. No, maybe they're not. Maybe they're road bikes. Oh, Worlds are coming to Montreal in 2 years.
Hell yeah.
We're going.
We are going.
2 or 3 years, right? 2026,
2026.
Maybe. That's 4 years.
4 years.
But
We are we gonna bike to Montreal?
Oh, come on, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
What the hell? What kind of question is that? Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
Oh yeah. We'll map it on Strava right now.
Yeah, I'm going to map it on Strava real quick. Let's just do the opposite of the VTXL.
That would get us. Yeah, that would get us to the border.
Gets you to the border. Yeah.
To ride from here.
Imagine riding to the border and they're like, you can't come in. You're like, what? I need to go see.
Turn around.
I need to go see Tadej Pogacar win Worlds for the 4th year in a row. Yeah, he can easily win today. It's funny to say today, even though I'm going to sleep in between now and it's really wild. That's how long I've spent long time on the bike.
Technically,
right?
he could win tomorrow for us, but it's today for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm going to get a decent night's sleep. Not all of the sleep I need, but I'm going to get a decent night's sleep and they're still going to be riding their bikes. Yeah, I'm ashamed I don't recognize all these flags, but there's definitely an Aussie up there, someone from Brazil, someone from Switzerland, Slovakia, a couple of Slovakian riders. Yeah, in the front, group of 11.
Wow. Peter Sagan's really putting his domestiques to work early here.
That's half of his team. Korean rider off the back here. Well, not off the back, coming back on.
We got riders stopping for nature breaks
Already.
which means we may have finally let the break get established.
I love to see riders get mad at other riders. I love to see like a little bickering in the peloton. Yeah.
So speaking of that, how do you feel about the Roglic drama?
Oh, with the
Yeah, so if listeners don't
Yes.
know, Roglic crashed out of the Vuelta.
Right.
A couple days after abandoning the race, he published this letter, basically where he accused Fred Wright of improper racing and causing the crash.
I don't think it was a good look on Primoz.
No.
And I hate to say it.
Yeah, he kind of came out for worse in the press, I think.
Yes.
He kind of got mocked a little bit. Oh, it's McGill is the American rider up there.
Okay, cool. Wow,
But
you have more. Oh, okay, wow, we're finally getting the list here from Cycling News. Yeah, Scott McGill from the USA. Never heard of him. No offense. But yeah, it didn't really look good the way it all came about. There was one angle that really made it seem that Fred Wright was in the wrong. Then I saw a couple other angles that made me question my initial analysis. And then I really didn't like the way that Roglic responded because Fred Wright really was pretty chill about it. So yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a good look.
Yeah, I mean, having been in races where there have been crashes and stuff, I feel like riders always want to blame the other person, but
For sure.
Some people will tell you that crashes are going to happen no matter what in a race.
That doesn't mean there isn't someone to blame.
But there's also other group will say that there's a proper way of racing your bike, in crit races, not passing on the corners, passing when you're pedaling. So I don't know, that debate will always be there, I think.
Is that an unwritten rule, or is that something that they teach you if you learn how to race crits? That's an interesting thing, right? I've never raced a crit myself. I know you have. I know that people have gotten into racing bikes more over the past 2 or 3 years because of COVID. People were spending more time on their bikes. And I have heard from people that race crits locally that more amateurs were showing up and weren't necessarily knowing what they were doing.
Yeah.
There are some training series, but how do you learn that stuff?
Well, right. When I started racing, you had to do 10 races as a Cat 5.
Yeah.
Before you could become a Cat 4.
Yeah.
And they changed that actually, that now basically anybody can select
Cat 4 if they want.
Anybody can skip Cat 5.
Yeah.
Which I think most people do. And it's kind of eliminated the Cat 5 field entirely, which race organizers, to be fair, putting on all those different fields, costing them more money. So by kind of eliminating the Cat 5 field effectively, it removed a barrier for entry for a lot of novice riders, but also made it more affordable for race organizers. But yeah, I could see how people would think that
Here's Nielsen Paulus on his beautiful Cannondale.
That is a nice Cannondale.
I'd love to own a Cannondale someday.
I don't know.
You ever owned one?
No. Thinking about getting a Cannondale gravel bike, maybe. It's in the running.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I ever told you, my grandparents used to own a dairy farm in Connecticut. And after my grandfather passed away, my grandmother was selling the land, and Cannondale made them an offer on that property.
What?
Yeah.
To have like a factory there?
Yeah.
Wow.
This was back in the 1980s, early 80s maybe. Yeah.
Did they ever have a factory in Connecticut?
No, I think they moved someplace
Where are
else.
they? Are they in Texas?
Well, I think they have a couple of factories now.
Yeah, sure.
But that's my Cannondale story.
He's sticking to it. No, I think Cannondales are nice. I'd love to own one. Especially one of those pretty paint jobs that EF puts together. 50-second gap. Breakaway with 2:43K to go.
And still two riders trapped in the middle trying to bridge up.
Pro Cycling Stats gives you the funniest stuff. They're like the riders the riders age in Group 1. Think of all of our riders that are in Group 1. Only 2 of them in their 30s. Really makes you feel old. And competitors sorted by most victories this season. Tadej Pogačar and Remco Evenepoel both tie with 14 victories this year.
Wow.
Wout has 9. Ethan Hayter has 6. Alexander Kristoff with 5 in 5th place. Sergio Higuita, Matthew Vanderpool also have 5. Wow, Christophe Laporte. Love to see him win today. That'll never happen for the French team, but that'd be interesting.
I wonder if he's their second.
I think so.
Backup. Yeah.
I would assume so. There's that 12th rider. Pro Cycling Stats was leaving out Scott McGill. They couldn't find out who the heck he was. He's 24 years old. Oh, wow. I wish it would say where he was from in the United States. I guess they don't really care. Not so ethnocentric as me. Wow, you can link right to his freaking Strava?
Nice.
Oh, he's from Maryland. Dang, he's a verified athlete. Who did he enter that, you think? Imagine if that's his choice for bio.
Maybe.
It's like I put www.itsjustahill.com and he puts verified athlete. Okay, Scott. Well, I will say I'm very impressed by Pro Cycling Stats. It really easily linked right to his page and then to his Strava, his Instagram, and another page. They're just naming all the favorites that we named earlier.
Yep.
I don't think we missed anyone.
I'm relooking at the list right now to see if there's anybody else we want to talk about here.
Latvia on our screen, New Zealand on our screen. There's Scott McGill. So yeah, there are 3 different groups now. The lead group is out front with 241K to go and 1 minute and 9 seconds on the group behind them. And then the group behind them is 1 minute 51 behind the lead group. So basically about a minute split. And the chase group, the group in the middle, consists of 2 people. It's wild to me. That's like that guy racing in the World Championships is on like a bike from 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe 2019.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be a huge disparity
between the different countries. Right?
The budget, yeah. And
some countries couldn't afford to get people visas and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Lawson Craddock had trouble with his visa getting to Australia.
He got it. When did he got it? But it was after the flight left.
Yeah, after his flight was supposed to leave. So
yeah, they couldn't get him on the next flight.
I think
it was 4 days ago, wasn't it?
Really want to go. He was like, I forgot to file my visa paperwork.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me. I'm not a cycling journalist.
Maybe, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to go. It'd be fun to race, especially because he's friends with Nielsen Paulus, being former teammates.
Right.
I mean, maybe they're friends, maybe they're not. I don't know their personal lives, but they were former teammates, right?
Yeah.
They're both on EF together at the same time.
Yeah. I think
Craddock's on Bike Exchange now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Oh, we got an interview with Sagan here.
Got to listen to Sagan.
Hey,
Peter, it seems like you are really popular here too.
sorry?
It seems like you are really popular here too. The crowds were cheering for you.
Oh yeah, that's very nice.
You had
It was always nice to be here. I started a couple of times in Tour Down Under, and it was always, amazing crowd, and I very appreciate it here in Australia.
When did you arrive and how did you train for today?
Arrived like 10 days ago. Yeah. Directly after Canada, I came here, and I trained just like always, as usual before World Championship.
Do you feel like you could be a fourth-time world champion today? Do you think you have the shape? Do you think it's a course for you?
Well, you never know before a race that everything is possible. The important thing in your mindset should be positive, and we will see during the race.
What kind of race do you expect?
A hard race.
And what we saw on the previous races gave you some tips of how it could unfold today?
Thank you. Grazie, Gabi. Yeah. Yeah, you see, I have already good luck.
And is it true that it's in your mind that if you win a fourth time today, you might retire after?
Well, that we're gonna discuss later. Thank you.
Okay, so we just watched a Sagan interview, and someone drop his bike,
No, I think maybe I don't know what happened.
or someone dropped a bike like next to him or something, and he was
yeah.
like, "Oh, maybe the mechanic was just giving him his bike." Yeah, but he turned to the side and he just went, oh, "Thank you." What do you think the race is going to be like? The race is hard. Man, he's so good.
Yeah,
I hope he goes into I hope he becomes like a cycling analyst
that'd be
because
hilarious.
his voice is just amazing, and I just love everything he has to say.
It would be really funny if Sagan goes and wins the gravel world championships and then decides to retire.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
He joked, or I don't know if he joked or how serious he was, but he did say something to the effect that if he were to win the world championship this year, that he would retire.
Yeah.
Which
Imagine if he won and he just dropped the mic.
hilarious.
I'm done.
One more big one, and he's out.
He's won 3 times before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong here. I don't think anybody's ever won 4 world championships. Let's find out.
I'm sure not many people have won 3 times.
No, again, the nature of it being just a one-day race.
Few people have won 3 times, including Peter Sagan, Eddie Merckx, Oscar Freire from Spain, Rick van Steenbergen from Belgium, and Alfredo Binda from Italy.
Well, there you have it. Yeah, nobody's ever won it 4 times. so-
Alfredo Binda was actually the first person to win too. He won 3 times. This year is the 89th edition of this road race. 89th edition. Oh, great. We have audio, but not video again. Classic. Okay, so quick update. Mathieu van der Poel has abandoned the race. There's still more than 230 kilometers to go. And rumor has it, this is a broad rumor, but he beat up a child.
Yes.
What? So
Basically, if you read between the lines on the news reports, that's what it sounds like. Some children.
he tried to go to bed early. Kids knocked on his door. And he was not happy. He yelled at them, and one of the girls injured her hand.
Yeah. So
And he was arrested. The police were called on him. He was arrested. And he wasn't back into his room until 4 a.m.
got no sleep last night and
Yep.
abandoned on the first lap. Which actually we talked about in the
how it's easy
pre-show.
to abandon. It's just easy because you're just like, well, there's the look at all those Stroop waffles.
Yep.
Look at all the cool Dutch stuff over there.
Whatever they eat in Australia.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, Cycling Tips has this story. Cycling News has it now, and the North Carolina website or whatever that I found. So, yeah, quote from Van der Poel, "I wasn't back in my room until 4 o'clock, talking a.m. That's certainly not ideal. Not good.
Not ideal for your season either, Van der Poel.
No, you've had a shit year, and Wout is way better than you. And yeah, I jokingly said now Taco Van der Hoorn can be the team lead for the Dutch.
Taco, not a bad outside pick.
No, that'd be great. I'd love to see Taco, even though Baca Malama is on that team too. So it'd be just
A lot of good
interesting.
riders on that team,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. We got Pog on the screen.
230 kilometers to go.
He looks to be wearing a slightly different helmet, and I don't know how much hair can stick out of the top of that, and that could be a problem for Pog. We know he needs hair out of the top of the helmet
Yeah.
in
Also,
order to win.
the Slovenian team kit is probably one of the ugliest, if not the ugliest, in the peloton, I'd say.
It is ugly. I will say they're easy to spot, which is nice because there is a lot of blue and there's a lot of red in there, and it's hard to tell the different teams. I like this Rwanda kit.
Hell yeah. Oh, we see the Belgian kit there on the right. See all the adverts? Just plastered all over the sleeves.
Wout's right in the center of the group here with the Red Bull helmet on. Yeah, ads on the sleeves and on the
It
chest.
kind of looks like they just got stickered, like somebody just slapped stickers
Yeah.
all over their kit.
Kind of messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at this top down. A lot of white with stripes, blue with stripes. Oh, we got stripes going up and down. We got stripes going side to side.
French rider dancing off the front of the peloton here.
Dancing. It must be Julian Alaphilippe. He's got techno.
I almost thought it was for a second,
techno
but it
playing in
seems a
his
little
ears.
early for that.
I also don't think Alaphilippe will be riding a La Pierre. He should be riding a Specialized, so I don't
Good
think
call,
that's him.
good
Or
call.
that's a Pinarello, but it's definitely not Alaphilippe. Pavel Sivakov.
Oh, yeah. Sivakov.
French team is good.
Yeah, Sivakov actually
Romain Bardet?
has a dual citizenship of Russia and France.
Oh.
Always wanted to be on the French team, but they wouldn't take him for a couple of years, so he'd ride for Russia instead. But I think maybe
So rude of them.
he might have finally, I don't know if he renounced his Russian citizenship or what.
Really?
But we should fact check that.
Because Russia is not good.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's this one guy off the back. He had to switch out for a neutral bike from the Shimano car, and he is not enjoying it. He is not enjoying the saddle position. He thinks he has a flat in the back. He's like jamming on his rims. Poor guy.
Yes.
Pavel Sivakov, no longer a Russian citizen.
Officially switched from Russia to France.
Wow.
So it was something he wanted to do for a long time.
Races for the Ineos Grenadiers, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. That makes sense. Pinarello. All right. Well, hopefully we get more news on Matthew Vanderpool. Maybe he's injured a couple more kids by the time we start recording again. But yeah, we'll pause again for a second. All right, we're back, but not for long. It's getting late, and we're going to ride tomorrow. So we're going to get some sleep, and maybe I'll wake up before the end.
Yeah. We watched the first 40K.
Yeah.
We were here to break the news about Matthew Vanderpool.
Yes. We apologize to the child. We don't apologize to Vanderpool. This is a pseudo-comedy podcast, so he can relax. But yeah, I mean, it's been decently exciting.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the course.
There's a lot of time left, though.
The climbs have looked pretty formidable, actually.
Yeah, Mount Keir is coming up pretty soon.
So
right now, essentially.
World's courses are very hard, and this one also looks like it's going to be quite hard. And it's twisty, turny roads, too, so I can see why it's going to be technical. I think we're in for a very hard, exciting race.
And the 40-year-old rider from the Vatican is on our screen right now. The lone Holy Land rider, right? There's only one person on his team, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
He's getting swept up, I think, by the
Peloton. He was
right
like
now.
in the middle somewhere.
Peloton are not looking that big. I mean, it was
People
going to be
getting
a,
dropped off the back. France is really up to the pace, but there is still a group out in the front.
and a long, long way to go. So riders might be planning on forming a gruppetto, chasing back on.
Right. Still 11 people out front. But yeah, Ryan from the Vatican, he's been caught by the Peloton. And there are riders dropping. But yeah, Pavel Sivakov is out the front for France, and he's really accelerating. But we're going to sleep, and hopefully we're eating donuts and in the middle of Connecticut talking about this next time we're talking. So yeah, thanks, Cal.
Thanks, John.
Talk to you soon. Hi, it's me, John. I'm back. And as you can tell by my voice, I'm not very excited about the outcome of the 2022 Men's World's Road Racing Championship. I didn't wake up nearly as early as I thought I would, but I ended up waking up at like 5 o'clock, watched the hour and a half recap, and Remco's an animal, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for me to watch. I've been cursing to myself for the past hour or so. But yeah, he went off with like 34K to go, about 2 laps, and yeah, won by a resounding lead of about 2 minutes. So I'm going to get ready to go for a bike ride with Cal. We might talk about this a little bit later as we're eating cider donuts in Connecticut. But yeah, I guess congratulations to Remco. Christophe Laporte got second, which is cool. And hometown hero Michael Matthews, hometown hero as in Australia, not American, got third place. Wout came in fourth, and I couldn't care less about the rest. Matthew Van Der Poel pushed a little girl and, I don't know, broke every bone in her body or something. That's just what I'm hearing out on the streets. Yeah, I'll be back in a bit with more. Who wants to listen to who am I, Bill Burr? What do you want to just listen to me talk on a Sunday morning, just getting all upset about cycling? No one wants to hear that. Maybe someone does. I sure don't. My wife doesn't. Okay. All right, I talked about it a little bit earlier this morning, but we're out here at Clyde's Cider Mill. What town?
Stonington. We're in Stonington.
Stonington, Connecticut. And quick recap of the Worlds. Cal, how do you feel about the way Worlds turned out?
Worlds, obviously a little disappointed. It wasn't our pick. I think, in retrospect, a little bit of a boring race. The Van Der Poel drama has been probably the biggest talking point of the race. But it's a beautiful morning. We're out here having some donuts and some cider.
Yeah, that's really the, for lack of a better term, sugar coating on the cake.
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many yellow jackets around. You can probably hear them buzzing by the microphone.
We're getting swarmed by yellow jackets because they want our sugar donuts. But despite that, we've got the beautiful autumn day.
Yeah, it's very nice.
The first touches of fall colors are on the trees here, and there's the smell of cinnamon in the air.
Yeah, they're churning apples out of a dump truck in the back. This place was established in 1881. It's like the oldest steam-powered cider mill in the country. Is that right?
Wow, I didn't know that, but
I'm fairly certain it is the oldest steam-powered cider mill in the country. I'm pretty sure, if not the oldest cider mill in the country. But I think there's some caveat to it, like it's steam-powered.
Yeah, we're having our own fall classic ride here this morning.
Yeah, it's not quite a metric century, but almost. Yeah, right on the cusp.
I think it is.
Right on the cusp, 62-ish, and
To bring it back to Worlds, after we stopped recording last night, there was a small break that formed or not a small break, so kind of a break with some big players. So Pogacar, Wout van Aert, a few of those guys made a move on one of the big climbs. Got away for a little bit. Looked like it might have been the move of the day, but kind of fell apart.
They got brought back in.
And then a little while later, another move went, this one with Remco and 2 of his teammates, and Nielsen Paulus was up there. None of the other really big names, but enough solid riders enough to make that break work, and they got about a 2-minute advantage. And then with about 40K to go, Remco went solo.
Yeah, Lutsenko tried to hold onto his wheel, but by the time it was like 2 laps to go, which I think each lap was about 17K, so like 40 to 35 kilometers left, Remco just blew it up, hands on top of the hoods, and put down the power, and no one ever saw him again.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't a ton of cooperation with the chase group. Obviously, Belgium wasn't going to chase him, and the Dutch riders didn't have their leader, so it just kind of left France and Germany and some other folks to try to bring him back, but obviously nothing for them to do, and that was the race.
I don't know if anyone's ever said this before, but Remco's kind of like the next Eddie Merckx.
Oh my God.
No, I don't really think he is. I mean, obviously that was a very strong performance. It was He's going to be wearing the rainbow bands for the year, 10 months or so until the next Worlds. Next Worlds are interesting. You were telling me it's like a full mountain bike, track, and road race Worlds 2-week event in Scotland in 2023.
Yeah, in Glasgow, they're doing all the different disciplines, all the World Championships at once. Something that they're going to do now every 4 years. So
they're going to do them all together every 4 years, but they're still going to do the solo ones every year?
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and when we were recording last night, I'd said how I was excited for a Grand Tour winner to be in the rainbow jersey. Of course, I was thinking of Pogačar at the time, but now instead we'll have Remco in that position, and he'll probably go to the Tour, I think, because of what he did in the Vuelta. And
he's going to be riding a rainbow bike too, like Alaphilippe.
Yeah.
You know they're going to give him some sick tarmac.
Yeah, Specialized, probably hook it up. A lot of marketing.
They just put out a red tarmac SL7 that is because of his win in the Vuelta. It's pretty sick looking. It's mostly red. The head tube is like a black fade on it. It's like the same bike that once he was in the red jersey, he finished the race in.
Yeah, so I don't know what else there is to say, really.
No, not much. The donuts were good. The race was boring, but Van der Poel put some girl in a body cast, and more to come for that.
Yeah, that's what we're really waiting on here. Is we're hoping there's some video of the incident at the hotel.
Yeah, hopefully someone TikToked it. And maybe we'll be able to get together in 2 weeks' time for Lombardia and catch up on Van der Poel, because Lombardia, the last classic of the year, in Italy on October 8th, I believe, and there's a pretty sick lineup. Wout's there, Jonas is there, Primoz is supposed to be there, and that's just Jumbo-Visma. Geraint Thomas, maybe Egan Bernal is there for Ineos. So, it should be a good race, and Van der Poel might still be behind bars in Australia.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We'll have all your updates.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Decaf left, regular right. Decaf left, regular right. It's very challenging work.